and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our Marketing Nerdcast today, Conquering the Chasm Between Traffic and Conversion. I am Margaret Johnson, a lead strategist here at Genu, and with me today is Kim Albee, our president and CTO. Hey, Kim.
Hey, welcome everybody. Glad to be here, Margaret.
Well, I'm glad you're here too, and we've got a quick 30 minutes to get through a lot of information, and I want to make sure that we get as much done as we possibly can. So get your hand raising thing ready, because I'm going to start out with a question. How many of you have ever accepted a LinkedIn request and immediately been hit with a sales pitch? That's right. You were traffic. And someone thought that once they'd connected with you, you'd be open to a sales pitch, right? Has that ever happened to you? I bet it has. Or how about this? Have you ever downloaded a document or attended a webinar, and then pretty quickly afterward, there's a salesperson going, hey, here's my calendar. Let's set up a call. Let's have a meeting, right? I mean, I know we get those all the time. I'm betting you get them too. I was on a call just yesterday where the presenter said a perfect framework is you get an opt-in, you deliver the thing that the people opted in for, and then you get them to book a call. And I was listening to this going, no. I mean, the fact is 1 to 3% of the people who get those hits, those immediate requests for conversion, will actually take the next step. They go from traffic to conversion actually pretty quickly. And yeah, there's probably a fair amount of businesses that get built on that 1 to 3% conversion rate, because guess what? They can have so many new leads that enter into their universe that 1 to 3% is actually not bad. But my goodness, for the majority of small and mid-sized businesses and schools, 1 to 3% means that 97 and 99% are falling into what we call the chasm of, click the darn thing here, the chasm of lost opportunities. That chasm is what happens when too many marketing and sales teams try to rush new leads into converting to sales, and it simply doesn't work on 97 to 99% of the leads that come in. So what happens? Well, you keep going to the traffic store, shopping for new leads, hoping that so many leads, you buy so many leads or you attract so many leads that 1 to 3% is a big enough number to keep the lights on or feel like a victory. And everyone who isn't ready to buy just drops into the chasm of lost opportunities, and they're likely lost forever. Now, for a lot of marketers, they think that's the easy thing to do, but is it really serving your business? And Kim and I had a conversation about this very thing not long ago, and we realized that something that's absolutely critical to this piece is the part that makes our little nerd brains happy, which is the data. So right now, let's drop some data here. And Kim, you've got a case study to share with us, right?
Yep, I absolutely do. So here's the thing. I understand there's a push by sales to get leads so that they can hit their quotas. And we're going to talk about this because we have worked with a lot of companies that do just that. And they're sending out those cold emails. There's just the enticement is just too big. And a lot of times the marketing department just doesn't know how to approach that. So I'm going to profile a company that did this, and they sell professional services and softwares, and their typical deals are $30,000 to $150,000, and engagements can last for several months. Now, the CEO of the parent organization here is a big fan of the Sales 2.0 strategy, which is send your cold sales emails to C-level executives until you get a meeting. So when the opportunity arose to engage with a firm that had a target of 62,000 contacts in their target market, a list of them, the company decided, oh my gosh, how many appointments could we get with sales emails? So they sent 6 emails in a cadence, one every other day for 2 weeks, asking for the meeting. Okay. So then they did a second cadence and offered a discovery call, right? So they had these meetings, and then what happened? Okay, so after all 12 sales emails had been delivered, the remaining non-opted out email addresses were then delivered. So to marketing to keep warm or to nurture, right? So let's just look at the statistics here. So they had 5,868 total leads in this send that they did. They sent 34,000 emails to those 5,868 leads in terms of, so that was a total of emails. So you can divide to see how many each one got. They had 478 of those leads opt out. That was an 8.1% opt out rate. Now, as somebody who specializes in email marketing and understands what it is to keep email servers in good reputation and all of that, that is a huge opt out rate. They booked 30 meetings. So their conversion rate was 0.5%, 0.5%. Okay. And that's what they did after 4 weeks of sales emails. Then they handed the rest to marketing. So they said, hey, marketing, nurture these, right? After a cadence of 12 emails total were delivered, the leads were delivered. So at that point, they only had 731 leads to deliver to marketing to say, hey, nurture these. Marketing sent 2,000 emails out, all content-based, and then asked for a meeting. We had another 38 opt-outs, and the open rate was 17.1%. But here's the thing, 0.6% clicked through and 0 meetings were set. These were the ones that had already been sent 12 emails asking for a meeting and nothing but a meeting. So at that point, marketing determined, you know what, these leads are dead. You have burnt this list. There is nothing really we can do here. And in my mind, the whole process was backwards. Okay, where sales did what they could, burnt the list, and then said, hey, marketing, go see if you can revive any of these people. And
Oh my gosh,
they couldn't do it. Okay.
So the question, yeah, so what does that mean? 731 more leads dropped into the chasm of lost opportunities, and there they remain to this day, sadly. Now, what is the bridge? So here's the thing that's really critical. The bridge that allows more leads to cross to conversion. What is that bridge? Well, guess what, folks? I'm sure this answer is not going to surprise you, at least this part of it. It's content. Content is what builds the bridge, but it's not just content. Now, a lot of marketers make this second big mistake when it comes to trying to convert new leads. They assume that every new lead is interested in the same kind of content. So they start shoving content at new leads, all the same content sent to everyone who hasn't bought yet. At least I hope they're not sending buy now messages to people who have already bought, but candidly, we do see that all the time. But regardless of why those people might buy or what they might really be interested in, people just shove content at them. Now, show of hands, do you think that might be a problem? I'll give you an example. Let's say you sell investments. Someone joins your list because they're interested in expanding their investment portfolio and they're looking for a new partner to help them do that. And you keep emailing them about retirement plans. Well, you've just disconnected a promising new lead because you're delivering content without conscience, content without thinking about what they actually want from you, content without looking at the data that the new leads are already giving you. The bridge across the chasm is built with content, yes, but it's underpinned with data. It's supported by data. It's the content you thoughtfully deliver, content with conscience, in response to what you learn about the leads that are joining your list. What did they click? What are they viewing? Why did they initially opt in? What did they want when they opted in? It's value-based content before you ever ask anyone to do anything for you. It's content that leads that social contract where you deliver value before you ever ask somebody to do something for you. Now, Kim, back to our case study. What happens when you do that?
Well, what happened is I mean, the power of data, when you can actually see what people are doing and actually listen, you can start to get a lot of different results. So here's what happened. Finally, this marketing department got the sales team. The next time they were going to send them out, they said, we think we can do a better job. Sales said, well, we're only going to trust you with 328 emails out of the 14,000 that they were sending to. And in this next send of the 328 versus the 14, sales got 62 meetings out of those 14,000. But marketing got 5 emails out of the 328 for almost a triple percent conversion into meetings booked out of the numbers. And these were all value emails. This was adding content, listening to how people responded, adding more content. And I think the number of emails that were sent by marketing, I think it was only
it was 4
emails that were sent. That's right.
3 value, and then 1 said, hey, why don't we talk?
Right. So out of that, we qualified 4 meetings happened out of the 5 meetings that were booked. 4 ended up being qualified out of that for 80% qualification rate. Okay, now let me ask you this. So data, that when you look at the data in the same way, it just doesn't lie. I can have my salespeople on 62 meetings and get 8 qualified, or I can have my sales meeting optimized and have 5 meetings and have 4 qualified coming out of it. What would you rather have? 80% qualification? And these leads are still alive. The ones that didn't end up booking are still paying attention. So that's the thing. And we've got a really good question being asked. How do you get the data about what they want? I love this question. And we're going to be addressing this because as nerds, this is one of the things that we've always been interested in. And so I think that is a really, really good question.
Before we get there, though, yes, it's a terrific question. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. And then we're going to dig further into it in future Nerdcasts, because welcome to Nerdville, folks. This is where Kim and I live. So the big question for you, and I think it really dovetails on what Kim just asked, if your sales team, would they prefer to have 62 meetings and 62 minus 8 is what, 54 of them that go nowhere? Or would you rather have 5 meetings and 4 of them go somewhere? Similarly, if you have a list of 5,000 people, which would you rather have, 50 new customers or 250 new customers, which is the difference between 1% and 5%? Look at that number. Would 250 new customers do something for your business? Would you be positioned to outpace your competition? That is the promised land. You don't have to live in the 1 to 3% conversion rate when you do this. So let's answer your question. When you proactively listen to your leads, Kim, you wanna me to go, or you wanna?
Yeah, I mean, when you can proactively listen to your leads, and how do you get the data is that you have things that listen for you. Because if you don't, you can't do this manually at scale, right? So you want to know everything. You want tools that allow you to know everything they click on, everything they look at, everything that they're doing, and you want to automatically be able to bucket them into interests, because behavior specific interests are far more powerful than trying to get them to answer questions or lead surveys or whatever that say, tell us what you're mostly interested in, because people will tell you whatever they tell you, but their actions tell you a lot. And that's what's called digital body language. Can you watch it? Can you listen? Can you pay attention to that? And then can you basically provide the information in a way that's real and actionable, that gives you insights into the kind of campaigns that would make the biggest difference? Because otherwise you're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And I've talked to enough marketers and we worked with enough companies to know that that's the majority of what people are doing. And so when they start to get data, you can start to inform how you brainstorm and come up with what are the campaigns that can make the biggest difference. And that's where you optimize your marketing so that you get the sales results that you're out for.
That's right. And now, before we go too crazy here, Okay, I want to take a step back and let's talk about where this data lives. Because here's the thing, there are a lot of data shiny objects out there right now, and you don't need them. In fact, AI is this big thing that marketers are confronted with right now. And we need artificial intelligence, and we need to build an intent database. And there's some buzzwords and some shiny objects that are out there. But what if it didn't have to be that hard? In fact, Kim, you have a story of a top-notch marketing consultant who didn't they have to rebuild a complete AI situation? Tell us about that.
Right. Well, the company paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for this contract to get this intent data. And then they had to program the AI based on the company. And when the company did a pivot, a slight pivot, they had to reprogram everything. And it took months to get this all programmed. So it took them 6 months or half the year to get the program, like the intent data all configured so that they were getting the right data that they could feed in. So imagine if you paid $100,000 and 50,000 of it was while you got things set up, and then it was inadequate afterwards to really deliver the results that they promised. So I've seen that and I've talked about that, and I love to learn more. If you're in that situation and you want to talk about that, I would love to hear your experiences, because these are the things that we really look at is what do you really need? And what we would rather have is give you data that's actionable, because the brain matter between your two ears can put together creative solutions and things that you can go after that can create really great campaigns. And people will raise their hand. And we've seen it over and over and over. So again, those are the things that there are. I'm not trying to give you a bad impression of all of that. I'm just trying to be real about what does that really take to configure and get it so that it's operational for you.
Mm-hmm. And really, part of it is how much of it do you really need to improve your results? If you could change conversions from 1% to 5%, just 5%, okay? We're not talking about you can have 60% conversions. We're not saying that. What if you could just go from 1% to 5%, or 5% to 10%? From wherever you are, if you could improve just a little bit, incrementally improve, and as you go and as you learn, you continue to incrementally improve. Now, this is ridiculous from a marketing perspective, but you all know the story, right? Which would you rather have, $1 million or a penny doubled every day for 30 days? If you don't think about it, you picked $1 million, right? But in reality, that incremental improvement of just doubling that penny every day for 30 days yields way more than $1 million. And yeah, it's been a minute or two since I've done that math, but it's a lot more than $1 million. And you're not going to double your marketing results every day, but incremental improvement is what you want. And you get there in part by in a huge part by understanding what's driving your leads, by starting the process of letting them segment themselves so that you can close more sales or impact more lives.
Right. And we get into this. I mean, one of the things that we do is we test everything. I look at marketing as a series of tests, and some of them work and some of them fail. But we learn every step of the way so that we can always be improving. And that's what we've done with customers as well. So that's where then we share what we've learned. And we always look at the data. And then we look at how can we enable even better data? How can we enable better information from the data? How can we enable better ideas? What else can we come up with? And that's that infinite part of curiosity and creativity. And that's where you start getting the results. When you start getting curious about why the data looks the way it does, and what if you try that, and what if you try this? And I will tell you, having the tools that give you the data is far more important than almost anything else.
Exactly. And we are going to dig into this even a bit more in our next Nerdcast, when we're going to talk about the power of knowing why your customers buy and the work you won't have to do yourself to be relevant. in this Nerdcast, we're going to talk specifically about using the information that your leads give you by their clicks, by their downloads, by their page views, even by their opens, although that's becoming pretty less meaningless going forward. But still, knowing why they buy can allow you to set things up so that you're building an intent database without going out and spending $1 bajillion hiring somebody to build an intent database that, oh, by the way, won't easily accommodate if you did it wrong. AI, artificial intelligence, and intent databases and all that are right now in the let's go off into the wilderness and develop it, and then come back. And by the time they come back, the requirements are changed. Your market has changed. My heavens, things are changing so rapidly in society today as we speak.
If you're, the thing that I would say about all that is that it's all very interesting. And there's all kinds of AI, and maybe that can be a future Nerdcast as well, that and what it's doing and how you can best kind of utilize it, how you can best kind of harness it. But the thing that you really want is you want to be able to stay flexible. You want to be able to turn on a dime. And the thing that I think is most important is you want to really harness the intelligence that's between your two ears. And that's what you really want, is you want to get the data that's going to tell you what's going on with the leads that you have so that you can have better campaigns. There's things that will tell you when people are in market and when they're not, or you can take your best guess. But when you make friends and build relationships and nurture people a step at the time, rather than just inundating them asking for what you want without really caring what they want, now you've got a whole different situation on your hands. And I think that that's where you want to really empower your marketing team. You want to empower your campaigns to be more effective. And you want the tools that really enable that. And again, building your own intent database. When I went through this whole example and said, well, what if you could just build your own intent database? And the eyes got really big and said, what? It's like, well, what if you could do that? It's not the same as what's being done in the AI world and the world of what in those intent databases are. But what if it was just as effective? And I think that's the part that I think I would challenge people to question.
Yeah, exactly. But what questions do you have? What comes to mind as you're hearing this conversation and thinking about how you can do something differently to improve your conversion rates, to build that bridge across the chasm? What questions do you have? How can we best serve you right now? Kim, right. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question that I'm seeing right now is, how as marketing, when you have sales really pushing on you, how can you get marketing to have more control over the way messages are sent? Even, if you're delivering, if you're looking at how many calls people have and there's 62 of them versus 5, that's a big difference.
Well,
so how do you do that? And I think that's one of the questions. And then we've got some more here too, but let's start.
So I lived through that one personally, back when I was the marketing leader for an IT consulting firm. I lived through that, and I was actually a new customer at the time. And I would say, well, we want to know, the salespeople would say, we want to know everybody that opened that email so we can call them. No. I mean, I flat out said, no, you will just irritate them if you do that. And I challenged them, because this is the thing that people miss all the time. They don't think about what their own behavior would be if they got treated the way that they want to treat leads. So, and I would say, hey, Mike, if you come to a webinar and then I immediately start saying, hey, let's have a call, let's have a meeting, let's get together, how many times am I going to plead you for a meeting before you say, I don't want to talk to you anymore? And he's like, well, I wouldn't want to talk to you at all. I'm not ready for a meeting. I just went to a webinar. Like, then why would you want to treat people that way? And he'd go, oh, so that's a big part of it, right? You've got to stand your ground and say, no, they're not ready to talk to you yet.
Right. And there's some really good questions here. So let's keep moving
Go ahead.
because I want to cover them before we're done. One is, how do you get marketing to give you more than disparate information? They provide data, but they don't build the story of the data. What is the path versus silo stats? And I would tell you this, it's really, really hard for marketing to provide the story when the data is disparate. So if you have multiple systems and they're seeing something in one system and seeing something in another system and seeing something in a third system, there is no aggregate, coordinated, integrated metrics that you can marry all those things up. But when you start to see that what leads have done and those pathways, and you can start to see where people are showing interests, you can start to then build the story. Okay. And that's one of the things is when you have to, I've talked to CMOs that have lots of different systems, but then they have their IT group pull together the comprehensive data to build the story, except for it's 30 days out of date because it takes them a month to do that. And those kinds of things are just not the time frame that's going to work. You need systems that integrate it right away, that give you real-time information that you can query and look into and start to understand, oh my gosh, this is what we're seeing. And make it easy to get at that data. So that you can start to see who is it, who's waking up, who's fallen asleep, who was in market, no longer in market, who is, what is the story of that data? And then do you see interest in certain areas that you could even augment and build campaigns around? If only you had the data that would tell you these are the people that are really super interested in that area. And you could actually make a difference there.
So I noticed that Ward and Celia kind of asked sort of the same question. How do you get the data? And the flat out, no nonsense answer to this is you need a system that collects it. If your marketing automation system doesn't collect it, you want to get a different marketing automation system. And I'm going to be quite blunt. Constant Contact, MailChimp, SendGrid, Mailgun, they don't collect this data for you. Okay. Systems like Genu, like our software, we collect the data for you and you see everything in the lead record about everything they've viewed, everything they've seen, everything they've downloaded, every form they've filled out, every page they've viewed, every blog post, everything is visible in the lead record. There are other systems that do similar things. So this is not a Genu sales pitch. I want to be quite clear, but that is the experience we have is our own software. And it does a magnificent job of collecting that data and letting you take action on it. If your system doesn't, get a different system because you're entitled to that data in one system. You shouldn't have to have 15 different systems to do this work.
Right. If you have stuff that's tracking, people might request a download, but they never actually download the file. Then you have your salespeople call to say, how did you like that download? And they say, what download? Because they filled out the lead capture form, but they never actually downloaded the file. So you've got, and you don't even know that. And then there's times when I have had a follow-up. Somebody followed up with me and I said, I never got the download. Can you send it to me? And the reply back that I got was, can you just go back to that page and request it again? Because I'm not quite sure what you downloaded.
Hey, Kim, we have a commitment here to end on time and we have hit the bottom of the hour.
All right.
So, and I am rigid about this. So we are going to draw this to a close. Thank everyone very much for coming.
And join us on the next one as we continue the story with data and how to really look at it and how to build it, because we're going to be building that with each of our Nerdcasts.
If you liked the video, go ahead and click that like button. Then subscribe to receive notifications of new ones. And thanks for watching.